Your body can hurt even when nothing is wrong. Your chest can tighten without danger. Your stomach can twist without illness. Your head can feel heavy without injury. And the more you try to understand it, the worse it feels. This isn't your body failing you. It's your brain trying to protect you, using a language you were never taught to understand. At some point, almost everyone experiences it. Your chest feels tight. Your stomach turns. Your throat feels closed. Your head feels heavy or unreal. Your body feels wrong. You scan yourself for signs of illness. You replay what you ate. You wonder if something serious is happening. And then the tests come back normal. No infection. No damage. No explanation. But the sensation doesn't disappear. This is where confusion begins. Because the pain is real. The pressure is real. The weakness is real. And yet nothing appears wrong. What most people don't realize is that the brain never evolved to separate emotional threat from physical threat. To the nervous system, danger is danger. It doesn't ask why you're unsafe. It only asks what to do about it. So when emotional stress accumulates unprocessed fear, unresolved conflict, sustained pressure, the brain responds the only way it knows how. It prepares the body. Muscles tense. Breathing changes. Digestion slows. Blood flow shifts. Sensory processing narrows. Not because something is broken, but because something feels unresolved. This is not imagination. This is physiology responding to perception. The body does not wait for logic. It reacts to interpretation. Stress isn't an idea in the mind. It's a signal in the nervous system. And when that signal stays active long enough, the body begins to speak it out loud. Through tightness. Through pain. Through dizziness. Through fatigue. This is why emotional stress can feel indistinguishable from illness. Because the same systems are involved. Your brain is not malfunctioning. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do. Protect you from threat. The problem is that modern stress doesn't look like danger used to. There is no predator. No visible injury. No clear moment of escape. So the system stays on. And when the system stays on, the body pays the price. The nervous system was built for short bursts of danger. Run. Fight. Freeze. Recover. That was the full cycle. But emotional stress doesn't end cleanly. It lingers. It repeats. It has no clear resolution. So the nervous system never completes the cycle. Instead of returning to baseline, it stays partially activated. This is where physical symptoms begin to form. When stress stays active, the brain shifts the body into conservation mode. Blood is redirected away from digestion. Muscles stay subtly contracted. Breathing becomes shallow and rapid. Pain sensitivity increases. None of this requires conscious thought. The brain is preparing for action that never comes. And preparation without release creates tension. Over time, this tension becomes sensation. The body starts sending feedback. Tight chest. Burning stomach. Clenched jaw. Heavy limbs. Floating or unreal feeling. These are not random. They are predictable outcomes of a nervous system that cannot shut down. And here's the part most people miss. The brain does not label these sensations as stress. It labels them as physical threat. So your attention turns inward. You scan. You monitor. You interpret. And attention amplifies sensation. The more closely the brain watches the body, the louder the signals become. This creates a loop. Stress activates the body. The body produces sensations. The sensations increase concern. Concern feeds the stress response. The nervous system was built for short bursts of danger. Run. Fight. Freeze. Recover. That was the full cycle. But emotional stress doesn't end cleanly. It lingers. It repeats. It has no clear resolution. So the nervous system never completes the cycle. Instead of returning to baseline, it stays partially activated. This is where physical symptoms begin to form. When stress stays active, the brain shifts the body into conservation mode. Blood is redirected away from digestion. Muscles stay subtly contracted. Breathing becomes shallow and rapid. Pain sensitivity increases. None of this requires conscious thought. The brain is preparing for action that never comes. And preparation without release creates tension. Over time, this tension becomes sensation. The body starts sending feedback. Tight chest. Burning stomach. Clenched jaw. Heavy limbs. Floating or unreal feeling. These are not random. They are predictable outcomes of a nervous system that cannot shut down. And here's the part most people miss. The brain does not label these sensations as stress. It labels them as physical threat. So your attention turns inward. You scan. You monitor. You interpret. And attention amplifies sensation. The more closely the brain watches the body, the louder the signals become. This creates a loop. Stress activates the body. The body produces sensations. The sensations increase concern. Concern feeds the stress response. Now the system has a reason to stay on. This is why symptoms often feel worse when you focus on them. Not because you're weak. Not because you're imagining things. But because attention is fuel. The brain allocates resources to what it believes matters. When a sensation feels threatening, the brain turns up the volume. This is how emotional stress becomes physical suffering. Not instantly. Not dramatically. But gradually, through reinforcement. And the longer the loop runs, the more convincing the symptoms feel. Because one of the most disturbing aspects of stress-based physical symptoms is that they move. One day it's your chest. Another day it's your stomach. Then your head. Then your breathing. Then your muscles. This confuses people. Illness is supposed to be consistent. Damage stays in one place. Stress doesn't. Because stress isn't targeting tissue. It's targeting systems. The brain operates through networks, not organs. When the nervous system is sensitized, it scans for vulnerability. Whichever system is most reactive becomes the focus. That's why symptoms shift. The brain is not searching for truth. It's searching for confirmation. Once a sensation successfully captures attention, it gets reinforced. The brain learns. This is an effective signal. And effective signals are reused. This is also why medical reassurance often doesn't work. A scan might rule out disease. But it doesn't retrain the nervous system. The system isn't responding to evidence. It's responding to experience. If the body learned that stress equals sensation, logic doesn't erase that learning. Only new experiences do. This is where people get stuck. They wait for certainty before relaxing. They wait for calm before living. They wait for symptoms to disappear before moving forward. But the nervous system doesn't reset through waiting. It resets through contradiction. When the body expects danger and none occurs, the system updates. But if every sensation leads to checking, resting, or fear, the prediction is confirmed. This is why stress-based symptoms often worsen in safe environments. At night. At rest. In quiet moments. There's nothing else to monitor. So the body becomes the focus. The brain fills the silence with signals. Not because something is wrong. but because the system is understimulated and hyperalert at the same time. This contradiction creates discomfort. And discomfort demands explanation, which keeps the loop alive. Here is part 4. This is where the psychology and the body fully intersect. The brain does not experience the body directly. It predicts it. Every sensation you feel is a forecast, not a report. The brain constantly asks, what is likely to happen next? When emotional stress is ongoing, the brain begins to expect danger internally. So it adjusts the body in advance. Heart rate changes before effort. Breath tightens before movement. Muscles tense before impact. This is efficient in real danger. But under emotional stress, the prediction never resolves. So the body stays prepared. This is why stress symptoms often feel anticipatory. You feel them before anything actually happens. Before speaking. Before resting. Before sleeping. Before nothing. The brain is reacting to possibility, not reality. And possibility is endless. Another critical piece is memory. The nervous system remembers sensations more vividly than thoughts. If you once felt dizzy during stress, dizziness becomes part of the pattern. If you once felt chest pressure during fear, the chest becomes monitored. The brain stores these as templates. So when stress returns, the body replays familiar sensations. Not because they're accurate, but because they're efficient. The brain prefers known signals over new ones. This is why symptoms can feel eerily familiar. As if your body is replaying something old. Because it is. Stress doesn't invent new sensations. It reuses archived ones. This is also why people fear the symptoms themselves. The body becomes associated with danger. Internal sensations turn into warnings. And once the body is perceived as unsafe, attention never leaves it. That's when stress becomes chronic. Not because the stressor never ended, but because the system never learned it was over. Here is part 5. This is where the loop becomes self-sustaining. Once the body becomes associated with threat, every sensation is evaluated. Normal fluctuations feel suspicious. Fatigue feels ominous. Hunger feels like weakness. Tension feels like collapse approaching. This isn't paranoia. It's conditioning. The brain has learned that internal signals deserve priority. So it watches them closely. And whatever the brain watches, it amplifies. Pain thresholds lower. Discomfort sharpens. Neutral sensations gain meaning. This is why stress-based symptoms often intensify without external cause. The system isn't deteriorating. It's sensitizing. Sensitization means the nervous system reacts faster, stronger, and longer to the same input. The volume knob has been turned up. This is also why people are told, it's all in your head, and feel dismissed. Because the experience is physical. The signals are real. The sensations are real. The suffering is real. What's misunderstood is the source. The brain is not producing symptoms to deceive you. It's producing them to keep you alert. But alertness without resolution becomes exhaustion. And exhaustion reduces resilience. This creates a feedback loop. Stress weakens the system. Weakness feels threatening. Threat increases stress. Over time, the body learns to live in anticipation. You brace without realizing it. Your jaw stays tight. Your shoulders stay raised. Your breath stays shallow. The body forgets how to rest. And when rest feels unfamiliar, it feels unsafe. This is why relaxation can feel uncomfortable at first. Calm removes the tension that was holding the system together. So the brain resists it. This is the paradox of chronic stress symptoms. The body wants relief, but fears the absence of alertness. And until that contradiction is resolved, the symptoms continue. The body does not need to be convinced that it is safe. It needs to experience safety. Words do not update the nervous system. Outcomes do. This is why reassurance fades quickly. You can tell yourself nothing is wrong. But if your behavior still changes because of symptoms, the brain ignores the words. The nervous system learns through consequences, not explanations. When stress produces symptoms and you stop, retreat, or avoid, the brain records that as success. Good, it decides. The signal worked. So the next time stress appears, the signal returns faster. This is not punishment. It's efficiency. The way out of this loop is not force. It is continuation. When symptoms appear and life continues, the brain receives new data. Not instantly. Not dramatically. But unmistakably. You stand where you are. You finish the task. You keep your breath natural. Nothing catastrophic happens. The brain updates its prediction. This level of sensation does not require intervention. That update weakens the signal. This is the uncomfortable part. To retrain the system, symptoms must be allowed without response. Not resisted. Not managed. Not chased away. Allowed. Allowance is different from endurance. Endurance implies waiting for relief. Allowance removes the demand for relief. The brain notices that difference. When there is no urgency, the system downshifts. Slowly. Reluctantly. Reliably. This is how emotional stress stops manifesting physically. Not because stress disappears, but because it stops needing a body to express itself. At first, allowing sensations feels counterintuitive. You expect the symptoms to intensify. You expect to lose control. You expect something to break. That expectation is the final illusion. The nervous system cannot maintain alarm without participation. Alarm requires reaction. When sensations arise and nothing follows. No checking. No bracing. No escape. The system hesitates. It waits for reinforcement. And when none arrives, the signal weakens. This is not because the brain suddenly understands logic. It's because prediction failed. The brain predicted danger. No danger occurred. Prediction errors are how learning happens. Each time you allow a sensation and continue, you create a small correction. One correction doesn't matter. A pattern of corrections rewires the system. This is why progress often feels invisible. There is no breakthrough moment. No sudden calm. Just fewer interruptions. Less urgency. Shorter episodes. Longer gaps. Eventually, you notice something unsettling. The sensations appear. And you don't care. Not because you're numb, but because they've lost credibility. The brain stops investing resources into signals that no longer alter behavior. That investment shifts elsewhere. Life regains priority. This is the moment many people think something is missing. The constant internal monitoring is gone. Silence feels unfamiliar. But unfamiliar does not mean unsafe. It means unpracticed. And with time, silence becomes normal. The body remembers how to exist without commentary. When the nervous system stands down, it doesn't announce it. There's no moment where you realize this is over. Instead, life simply takes up more space. You wake up and forget to check how you feel. You move without scanning your body. You notice sensations only after they've passed. This is not suppression. This is disengagement. The brain has stopped assigning meaning to internal noise. Sensations still occur. They just don't get interpreted. A tight chest is just tightness. A flutter is just a flutter. A wave of fatigue is just fatigue. No story forms. And without a story, the body has nothing to perform. This is why stress symptoms disappear when attention moves outward. The nervous system was never trying to hurt you. It was trying to guide you. Once guidance is no longer needed, the signals soften. This is also why trying to get rid of symptoms keeps them alive. Removal keeps them relevant. Irrelevance dissolves them. The brain only maintains systems that serve a purpose. When emotional stress no longer needs a physical outlet, the outlet closes. Not because it was forced shut, but because it was no longer used. And unused systems atrophy. Quietly. The body was never the enemy. It was the messenger. Emotional stress needed somewhere to go, and the body was available. So it spoke. Through pressure. Through pain. Through tightness. Through exhaustion. Not to punish you, but to signal overload. When the message is heard, the messenger quiets. This is the part most people miss. The goal was never to eliminate sensations. It was to remove their authority. Once sensations stop controlling decisions, the brain reclassifies them. From threat to background noise. That reclassification changes everything. The nervous system returns to its original function. React when necessary. Rest when possible. Not because life became stress-free, but because the system relearned proportion. This is the difference between danger and discomfort. Your body always knew the difference. It just needed permission to stop proving it. And when that permission is given, the symptoms don't vanish. They dissolve. Quietly. Without effort. Without attention. Until one day, you realize something strange. You remember how it used to feel. But you can't feel it anymore. Not because it's gone, but because it no longer matters.